Greg, do you want to bring us in?
Into the Mighty Ducks?
Yeah.
Sure. What do I need?
I thought you were just going to quack a lot.
Honestly,
Quack,
that was
quack,
such a good
quack,
setup.
Quack, 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 quack,
Win,
quack,
win,
quack,
win,
quack.
win.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. Sometimes the bits write themselves. We'll be quacking a lot in this episode. As you guys know, I don't know how to start the podcast yet, so it'll either be Greg quacking a lot or something along the lines of, welcome to Late to the Movies. My name is Ben Holt, and this is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Every week, we'll pick a movie that either I or one of them haven't seen before and really should have by now. This week, if you couldn't tell by all the quacking, is Mighty Ducks. And if you also couldn't tell because that's the name, you clicked on it. You saw the name of the episode. I always think that part's weird. It's like, I mean, you do have to intro the movie at some point, but you guys can read.
That's fair.
You don't know that.
Yeah, you actually don't know that.
I don't know how you got there without that part, but
We just lost all of our blind listeners.
I assume they have some kind of thing that would have read it out to them so they knew to pick this episode.
No, it's just a fucking gamble for them.
Oh, man. Well,
Damn
if that's the
it, they
case, I
departed again.
apologize. As you've already heard on this episode, we've got Greg
Hey.
and Robbie.
Hola.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about Mighty Ducks. But first, before we get to all the quacking, let's talk about anything you guys have seen recently. You both were on the last episode, so I guess just in the last week, anybody catch up on anything?
I watched the very first episode of Moon Knight.
Nice.
And I haven't watched any of the Disney Marvel TV series either. I don't know why I watched that today.
They've been pretty good. It's funny you say that because I went to go watch the Mighty Ducks on Disney Plus and it was like Moonlight. And I'm like, Moon Knight, very different than Moonlight. But I was
Disney's
like,
Moonlight.
what's Moon Knight?
Hopefully this is
So
on Disney Plus.
I'll check it out. It looked like a Deadpool knockoff, but I was like, all right, that's interesting. I didn't see the trailer. Just the guy looks like Deadpool but white.
Yeah. I don't know anything about Moon Knight, and I think that's why I was like, I feel like all the other TV series they put out were characters I knew, and I was like, I don't really care for watching this. But this is a new one, and they advertised it pretty hard. It kept popping up in the thing, and I had nothing going on for about an hour today, so I was like, why not?
I thought that too, but WandaVision at least was very good. I was like, how are they going to make this a good show? It's just like pretend Scarlet Witch isn't in it, and even without her being Scarlet Witch, it would be a good show. It had a good plot.
It's tough, right? Because, I mean, Vision and Wanda had been in, 4 or 5 of the biggest movies of all time before the TV show.
Yeah.
Whereas this is, Oscar Isaac's been in a lot of big movies too, but the character hasn't. So that's the Moon Knight himself, Oscar Isaac.
Honestly, I think that was another thing too. I really like Oscar Isaac, so I was like,
Everybody likes Oscar Isaac.
Yeah,
he's the
he's
most
great.
handsome.
He's super handsome. And I was like, I'll check this out.
Super handsome.
I don't know if you guys have seen it either, but his character,
His face is completely covered most of the show, right?
I imagine. In the first episode, it's not. There's the reveal. He they got to give him a little bit of an origin. But in the first episode, he plays this really not someone who would be a handsome person. He's kind of awkward and odd and stuff like that. So I was like, this is kind of interesting for him.
Nice.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll probably watch the rest at some point.
Cool. Yeah, Robbie, you see anything recently?
I am almost done with Community. I said on the last podcast I started watching it. I'm on season 5. It's very good.
Do they have all the seasons? Because it kind of got weird at the end. The last season was on Yahoo Screen, which doesn't even exist anymore. So.
They do have all the seasons on Netflix.
I think
it's
it's
only
7?
7? I think it's 6. I'll have to
You
look that
might
up.
be right.
There's 6 on Netflix. But it's getting really good. There's a lot of interesting cameos from people. Nathan Fillion was on it,
Really?
as a random character in it. But when I first saw him, I was like, wait, is that Nathan Fillion or is that Pedro Pascal? And then it was Nathan Fillion, but it made me realize for the Firefly reboot, they should get Pedro Pascal. That would be so fun.
He's another guy I'm always happy to see him in basically anything.
Yes. So watch The Bubble. He's in The Bubble.
Oh my God, they really packed that in with people, huh?
God,
Everyone's in the bubble.
They're all in the bubble.
They're
Wow.
all in the bubble. They fit them all in there.
Oh, man. That's it, though.
Okay, cool. Well,
What do you got, Ben?
As you guys know, anytime we watch a movie for the podcast, I have to watch a different movie that has the same initials. So last night I watched Mulholland Drive, David Lynch's 2001 classic.
Mulholland Drive?
Just Mulholland Drive.
Oh, does that count?
Yeah, I think so. If you said Mighty Ducks, I would know what you were talking about. So I think it still counts. But yeah, David Lynch's Mulholland Drive. It was a bad idea because I don't know if you guys have seen it before, but it is one of the best movies ever made. I love it so much. And it's all I want to talk about now. And I watched Mighty Ducks first, and now it's like, I guess I'll talk about Mighty Ducks and not.
They're on par, right? About equal.
Easily one of the most interesting and talk outable movies ever. Like after you watch it, you just want to grab someone and be like, talk to me about this. But it'd be weird if I just monologued about it for a while.
I don't want to hear about it.
I looked around just in case you guys were like, no, go for it.
I haven't seen it.
I want to hear about it for 15 minutes. No, yeah, I haven't seen it.
15 isn't enough, so we'll do it at some other time.
There you go. We can make it an episode.
But
Is
yeah,
it old?
Great movie, 2001.
It's old enough.
Do they quack?
Quack, quack, quack.
They don't quack.
Quack.
I'm out.
Oh, it's so freaking good.
It's only movies with people quacking.
One last thing, Moon Knight, surprisingly violent. Right? Which is fine, but I like it. It gave me almost like Daredevil vibes, like the Netflix series. Those were probably
the Ben Affleck movie?
No, the Netflix series.
Jennifer Garner's in it?
No. No. Daredevil was more violent.
Plays Bullseye?
No. It might.
Or Gambit?
This one could get more
I
violent.
don't remember.
But Moon Knight was surprisingly violent. Like a lot of people getting shot and stuff. And it's always funny because I'm like, oh, this is on Disney Plus. You know, my kid was watching like Turning Red this morning, and now I'm watching people get like shot and like murdered. This guy's walking on glass for some reason. I don't know what's happening.
So if this is Moon Knight, does that make him like a Disney knight? Like we had Disney princesses, Disney princes, so now we have a Disney knight?
Yes.
Awesome.
But yeah, so I watched Mighty Ducks like the day before this, and I was surprised to see them opening with like a guy drunk driving, like, bam, here we go. Disney movie. We're going to open our scene. He's getting smashed in his car.
Fantastic. I really loved it. It's like, you've really screwed up.
Wait, hold on. Don't start talking about the movie yet. We haven't done the thing.
The thing.
Quack, quack,
No, not that
quack,
thing.
quack.
You guys know we had to do a 1-minute plot summary first.
Oh.
If we're transitioning.
When he quacks, should I like balance it with the win thing, or does that like create a craziness in the?
I don't think it creates a craziness in this, more just in the room.
Well, yeah, no, we want that vibe. We want that crazy duck energy.
Yeah,
well, he's got the duck energy, but I got to combat it so he gets more duck energy.
Okay, I guess you're going to bring some hawk energy.
Hawk.
Well, no, they're saying win.
Scree.
All right.
Just continuity.
Robbie might not have watched this movie.
I don't know.
So Greg, do you want to do
DuckTales, right?
Robbie's convinced that Gordon's the bad guy.
Those poor hawks.
I actually do. I do have a theory that Gordon's the bad guy. But
Okay, I do too.
Let's set it up. Let's set it up. So, at a point in time, this might have been the movie I had seen the most. And that point in time was by the time I was, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7. But you guys had never seen this before, which is kind of crazy to me. But
I saw it like when I was younger.
Okay,
I probably remembered zero of it rewatching it.
Cool. And Greg just had never seen it before.
No, obviously
Okay.
I've heard of the Mighty Ducks, and even not seeing it, I knew like the plot over like.
You
plot
probably
line.
knew there was somebody named Goldberg. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like he's a rememberable. No.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know any of the names of anyone.
All kids' sports movies have to have a fat goalie.
And I feel like everybody
That
like
everyone calls by their last name.
talked about Goldberg for some reason.
And he's
I don't know.
also in heavyweights, right? We'll talk about heavyweights some coming this summer. Heavyweights episode. Look out for it. We'll do a summer camp month. We'll see. I should say this is sports month because I didn't say until the end of the last episode. And we're doing all kinds of sports movies. We're tackling all kinds of sports movies. Today we're checking into hockey for the third sport that we'll cover. This one is the first kind of traditionally structured sports movie, I feel like. Greg, it's a clean first time for you. Do you want to do the honors?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Got the power play for a minute.
Oh, nice. Cool. So our movie starts with a little kid missing a game-winning hockey shot, being horribly disappointed. We cut to him as an adult. He's a lawyer. He's getting charged with drunk driving. He's got to do some community service. And oh no, he's got to coach a peewee hockey team. And he doesn't like hockey anymore because he missed that shot. Oh no. And he doesn't like these kids either. Oh no. But then before we know it, he loves these kids. He's fallen in love with one of their moms. This is great. But then something goes wrong. They hear him say something that he didn't mean. They don't want to play.
Seconds.
All of a sudden, he fixes it. Now they're in the playoffs. They win all their games. They're facing the team that's exclusively like evil children. And they beat him. They win. And now he's not a lawyer anymore. He's going to be a minor league hockey player. And he gets the mom.
He does get the mom.
Yep, that's pretty much what happened. Famously, when we did the first Godfather, Robbie, you went and watched all the other Godfathers too. Did you do the same thing with the Mighty Ducks franchise?
I didn't. Community has me by the short one, so I got to finish that first. I did want to go watch the second one because I was like, I can't remember. I've seen them all. I've seen all the way through D3, but I can't remember if the relationship with the mom sticks, because if it doesn't, that kid is good. Oh my God, that's just devastating. She warned him specifically about this.
That's fucked up. No way, really?
Oh,
No,
man.
and then I mean, not full, not by. No, because there's someone else, right, in D2?
I thought there was. That's why I was like, wait.
Oh, no.
They end this with him like kissing her in front of like all of the hockey team, and I know
the son is like a half a foot away and way too into it.
and like
He's way too into it.
I know that he continues teaching the same hockey team, and I also had like a vague memory of another woman, so I was like, hopefully they just
In
recast it
D2,
because-
it's like the PR lady, right? Because there's like a PR lady because they're representing America with these random reject kids from Minnesota.
I think so.
Oh,
D2's
no.
great. D2's better than this, but we had to do this one first.
That's fair.
That checks out. So you didn't watch them all, even though you did that same one thing with God. Well, now are you saying that you thought The Godfather was better than this?
I did.
I don't
yeah.
know. Should we wait to the end for
This
that?
would
That's
be
like a
like
rating.
2 or 3 for me of the best picture nominees this year. Godfather's still around 7.
I'm gonna bring this
I
up.
the same jokes every episode.
I'm gonna bring it up in every episode I'm in from now on.
Oh man, I mean, it was no The Bubble, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was no The Bubble. D2 legit good. I think you might like it more. I don't know. So yeah, fresh eyes on it. Both of you guys, what'd you guys think?
It was fine. It was a kid's sports movie. Like, as soon as I saw that opening scene, which they don't make scenes like that anymore, right?
Yes.
But as soon as I saw that he misses that shot as a kid and he like falls on the ground, I'm like, he's an adult lawyer. And I know the plot is he has to coach a team unwillingly. I'm like, this is going to end with him having another kid make this same shot. And this kid's going to make it this time.
I almost for a split second when the guy was like, anyone on the ice could take the shot. And like, keep in mind, I've seen this. I was like, I swear to God, if they have Michael J. Fox take the shot because he was like technically on the ice, that's what the rest
Ben is
said. They
appalled right now.
Like, anyone on
We'll
the
get into
ice. I was like, that would be hilarious.
Michael J. Fox?
Isn't that who?
No, this is the jock from Breakfast Club.
Oh,
I don't know his name. To be
Emilio
honest.
Estevez?
Oh
There we go,
shit!
Emilio Estevez.
Come on, they look alike, right?
Not really.
Michael J. Fox is like 2 feet shorter than him, I think.
Yeah, this is Emilio Estevez. He's a very famous guy.
Wow, I thought he was Michael J. Fox the entire time.
He looks exactly like his dad.
Oh,
But-
man.
I didn't think of that. And that would have been fucking awesome if anyone on the ice and he comes out.
I'm gonna do this.
It would have been really good too because
Okay.
he's all about like the shady technicalities.
I was like really hoping for it, but I was like, no, this is a college humor bit. This isn't the way a Disney movie is.
No.
Yeah. Emilio Estevez, I think he's actually pretty good at this.
What else is he in besides Breakfast Club?
Well,
I feel like I haven't seen him in like anything.
D2 Mighty Ducks, Mighty Ducks Game Changers, which just came out in the last couple years on Disney Plus.
Okay, on non-Mighty Duck related movies.
He's in a ton of shit. I wasn't like ready with the Emilio stuff because I didn't think it would be such a point of contention. When I say he looks just like his dad in this, his dad's Martin Sheen, his brother's Charlie Sheen. We know this.
Oh no,
What?
didn't know that.
Yeah. Their last names are Estevez. He's the only one who kept it for his stage name.
Interesting.
Yep.
I'm gonna look up pictures of Michael J. Fox.
He doesn't look like this. Look up pictures of Martin Sheen, his dad. This is, I think, the most Emilio Estevez ever looks like him. But yeah, Breakfast Club, St. Elmo's Fire, Outsiders, Repo Man.
Okay.
Okay, they look nothing alike.
Maximum Overdrive, if you want to.
Wait.
there.
No, look, see, young Michael J. Fox.
He has a different head and face. I don't know what to tell you.
Not even from far away. All right. He does have a different.
Michael J. Fox is very compact.
I don't think it's the worst comparison I've ever heard or anything.
Okay. Oh, yeah, they are very different. All right.
Oh, I didn't expect us to be already off the rails this much.
Oh, yeah, we're done.
Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, the opening scene though, I had the same thought. I was like, I didn't realize the stakes were gonna be this high for a Pee Wee Hockey League. Like it was just
Him like falling on the ground on his knees.
single spotlight where they're like, hey, let's make sure the entire audience sees this kid having his first mental breakdown.
To show us that it was in the past, it's like foggy for some reason, and it's in like the whole scene's in like slow mo. The reason this movie was almost 2 hours was because of all the slow mo they added in.
Well, because that's what it looked like in the 70s. The game sped up a lot since then. So the coach of the Hawks in 1973 looks older than he does in 1992, right? Because his hair, they style his hair in a certain way.
He got younger.
He got somehow younger.
He got all that sweet youth hockey money, and he could start to like take
in
care
20.
of himself.
What is it? 20 years? It goes
Yeah,
by?
basically 20 years. They make no attempt to make him look any different. It was really confusing for me because I always forget that it's not that it is the same guy.
Yes.
So it's really confusing for me every time.
Maybe he just seems younger because he's hip the way he pops his collar every time he talks.
All the time.
I could not take him seriously every time he. Every time
he didn't have a mustache tutorial, so he was just popping his collar.
And everything he says is at least vaguely evil too. And then he pops his collar, and I'm like,
I love. And then so like
that's basically the main point I wanted to hit. Is that guy looks younger in 1992?
He did. He got younger.
I love it. And he's so full of himself. I love he's like to Michael J. Fox, he's like, and look at yourself now. And I'm like,
it's Emilio Estevez.
Shit. Okay, just just badly edit over every time I say that.
That'd be awesome.
I know why you think because Michael J. Fox is Canadian and it's about hockey, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then every time.
But he would fit Emilio Estevez's like.
I'm not
shirt
gonna
pocket.
lie. The entire time I've ever seen this movie, I've thought it was Michael J. Fox. Like this is not a new thought for me, so it's just like it's gonna take a little.
I'm really
bit.
excited to hear the playback on this. Every time I've seen this movie, I've always thought it was Emilio Estevez. Just paste it right over.
I would love that. But he's like, look at you now, and I was like, look at him now. He's a lawyer, and you're still a hockey coach.
You never was. It's like I guess he quit when he was like 10. Like what life was he throwing away?
What are you doing, man? Like you go home and drink
Is this
a
a
bottle of scotch by
full-time
yourself.
job for you? Like,
This is community service.
This is community service.
he doesn't have to do any recruiting. It's entirely geographically like sorted.
If we don't win, none of you on the team next year. Well, who's going to be on the team, man? How many hockey kids live in your division?
Yeah, you got like 20
All
kids in
the
this
other
exact
coaches are
age
volunteer,
bracket.
man. Just like
Are
you.
court ordered.
I just love the
Or-
first time you see the Hawks too. They're doing this like really crazy, like almost military like movements on the ice. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is going on?
They're like very evil.
It's why it's a lot easier to kind of get on the wavelength of D2, I think, because once you accept that everything in this movie happened, then you can just be like, okay, people are taking it seriously, but it's like national teams, even though it's youth and it's like the Goodwill games, at least like, okay, it's national teams. I can get why there's a little more spotlight. Gordon Bombay is like famous in the second one, which is one of the plot points.
Yeah, he didn't play hockey since he was 10, and then he just made it in the minors.
Yeah, well, he has like a horrible injury is how D2 starts, and that's why he like comes back to coach.
He said he was going to come back no matter what.
Well, yeah, he would lie.
was a lie.
He lied.
Like how he told the mom he'd stay with her.
Yeah, he never came back.
He's a lawyer, Robbie. They go over how sleazy he is.
I think he ends up with oh god, I always forget her name. Heather Lauren Graham, whatever. Lauren Graham, right? She's the Lorelai from Gilmore Girls.
Mrs. J. Fox?
No,
I was gonna say this is don't ask Robbie.
from Gilmore. She's like the main character in Gilmore Girls, and she's like the lady in Bad Santa. And she's Emilio Estevez's, I guess, like love interest in the series on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
So they get
Not
back
Charlie's
together.
mom.
Do aside
Get
from
back together with who? No, this is a new character. What are we talking about?
Emilio Estevez, apparently.
Apparently.
aside from what's his name?
There's the magic German. You didn't mention him in your plot summary.
Oh, I know that. I have lots of notes on the Magic
Scandinavian. They had to make that clear because
Oh,
his name
sorry.
was Hans, and we did not like Germany at that time. Well, no. Did we? We did. That was fine.
In the 90s, who cares?
Yeah.
Um,
Too soon.
Too soon. Yeah, he had a big sign that said Willkommen in his thing, but that could be.
Besides,
I do love that guy.
Fulton, which is Eldon Henson or something like that.
Yeah.
Are any of these other kids as famous at this point? Are they around still?
At that point or today?
Today.
Sure. One of them just went to jail in a very high-profile case of fake hate criming.
I didn't mean that kind of famous.
Wait, Justice was in it?
Emilio Estevez. Yeah, Jussie Smollett is one of the 2 black kids in the movie.
Part of the very cool named Oreo line.
The very coolly named Oreo line, yeah.
That was sarcasm for our viewers at home. That really was like a slap in the face. When the bad kids called them that, I was like, oh, okay, they're bad kids. And then when Emilio Estevez said, get on in there, Oreo line, I was like, that's not okay.
Yeah, they can use it. Because they're brothers, right? Even though they don't look the same.
Yes, and on the same hockey team.
Right, yeah. The one who, he's the one who doesn't talk as much. I think his brother talks more.
Yes.
Gotcha. He's the one that calls people cake eaters.
Yeah, he's the one who calls people cake eaters.
Okay, what is that?
And then the main kid's Joshua Jackson, who's like still famous today. He ended up being in Dawson's Creek, and now he's like still in shows today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was he Dawson?
He was not. He was Pacey. And then, I know. Well, cute as a button in this, and then now he's like a sex symbol for a lot of people.
Weird.
Oh, but cake
I
eaters,
know.
I'm assuming, was like a play on like the let them eat cake. So he was calling them like rich people.
You think this kid was making a Marie Antoinette reference?
I mean, I can't think, like, maybe he didn't know what it was from, but maybe that was a popular thing to call rich people back then. I would rather think he was a man of culture.
So, yeah, I felt like I couldn't recognize most of those actors. Well, there's a lot of them, too, obviously, because the team's really big. So I was like,
And then the
oh.
Goldberg kid was in a few other things. He's also in Heavyweights. In D2, Kenan Thompson's in it. He's also in Heavyweights. Carp in this movie is like the main kid in Heavyweights. Okay. So I think there's just like this group of kids who all continued into Heavyweights.
Nice.
A few years later.
I assumed that was a boxing movie when you first said the title, but now I'm getting some kind of camp vibe.
Yes. Okay, good news. We can do Heavyweights. You haven't seen it before.
No.
I haven't seen it either.
We just must have been doing different things because I watched a lot of TV as a kid and it was just on all the time.
I grew up in
just
the city,
like,
dude.
Just like this city.
Yeah.
Not like the city.
Yeah. I had more important things to do.
You had to stay alive.
Stay alive. Yeah.
No, I just wandered the streets aimlessly. Yeah.
Oh, that's
like
too bad.
most of youth in the city.
They didn't have TV, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were too
Fall River
poor.
didn't get TV till 2005.
Exactly.
I think everything we've done, we'll have to cut down to about 4.5 minutes of content.
all
far.
that's in here so far is me doing the synopsis.
Yeah, and quacking.
Quack, 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 quack.
Win.
Maybe that's what we'll do every time Robbie calls him Michael J. Fox. We'll just put you quacking over it.
Yes. Had you done the synopsis, Robbie, I was going to start quacking really quietly and then just get louder and louder.
Perfect.
Oh, it would have been a good bit.
That would have been a really good bit.
Let's talk about Emilio Estevez. Gordon Bombay is one of the best sports movie names ever.
As soon as they say his name, I was like, holy shit, like what? This is
It's a really good match for like a movie character and sport, right? Because
Yeah.
like of course he's a hockey player.
Yeah.
Great freaking name.
I don't know, man. Billy Bean from Moneyball. That's also
It's a real person.
Yeah, he's real though, right?
They didn't have to come up with that.
all right.
Our
fine.
boy Gordy over here.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, it's wicked good.
So good. We start with some just like, I guess this is what kids in Minnesota were doing also, is just like walking around pranking people with bags of shit.
I love that. Poop dollar.
Yeah.
I thought that too. That's another scene too that I was like, they don't make scenes like this anymore too. When they have the kids like fast forward running,
Well, an
I was like,
adult,
this is
Yeah.
classic like '90s like bit right here.
where like an adult is about to like beat the shit out of some children.
Well, yeah, I meant more the way it was filmed though, where they like speed it up in like a really funny way.
Yeah, it gets pretty goofy. It gets pretty Benny Hill. I think, yeah, it's one of those things where like I feel like quicksand in cartoons and children's programming going off. There's always just that sort of like ambiguous, like I'm gonna get you kind of chase thing. Like what was that adult gonna do if he caught up to them?
Yeah,
He was gonna
Kill
beat
them,
the
I
hell out of
guess.
some kids.
Right? Like nothing, right? That's not
Yell at
part of
them.
it, right?
right.
And the same thing, like so many kids things I watched growing up, and I'm sure it's still the case today. Someone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you," and there's just like a chase,
Yes,
but they never get them.
Yeah, there was like I said, that, and then the very first scene too, when he's a kid, in order to let you know this was the past, there's like a fog machine going like full blast. That was another like 90s thing.
That's
I feel
the past, man.
Yeah, it's the past. It's got to be like foggy. You know
They
what I
also
mean?
did the spitting newspapers a lot, which I loved.
Yeah.
It's like front page of the Minnesota Times.
I was just like, where are they getting all these Pee-wee sports writers from?
District 5 under 11 hockey regular season coverage, not
Wins
even the
a
playoffs.
game. Headline.
Yeah. Second to last team in this random division, now 1-9.
All 5 of our readers love it.
It is funny because I see that those like things, and I'm like, now you look at them, you're like, this is like not good. But at the same time, I'm like, I kind of like this. You know what I mean? It's a little nostalgic. Like, I understand why they don't do it anymore because it does not look good, really.
Yeah, it sets it up well. Media is a big part of T2, so they're just seeding that, obviously.
That makes sense. Yeah, they're getting. Yeah, wow.
And this is my fault because I said let's talk about Emilio Estevez. Then I was like, how about that bag of shit? So that's my fault. But since we didn't really zero in, this would be a good time to mention the original treatment for this movie was way more adult oriented. It wasn't necessarily supposed to be a kids movie. It was supposed to be about the Gordon Bombay character who, because of substance abuse issues, flames out of the NHL. Disney buys it and is like, let's make it a kids movie. And they put in a lot of the slapsticky elements and the fart jokes. And they change it from this guy flames out because of substance abuse issues to this guy is court ordered to coach a Pee Wee hockey team. But they do keep the DUI, which I appreciate that Disney wouldn't today. I mean, not even joking. Like, it just wouldn't be part of it.
No, Disney movie today, you do not open with a DUI. Like, or like, if you do, you have it like kind of subtle so that like kids don't quite understand, but they were just like, yeah, let's have him drinking while he's driving right now. And not even like he got drunk and got in the car. He's in the car
still drinking.
and drinking.
I feel like a lot of the darker elements, and maybe this is just, it might be a stretch, and maybe they completely scrubbed it and wrote an entirely new thing, but I feel like some of the more serious elements remain, namely Gordon Bombay is kind of an asshole. The whole movie, he's kind of an asshole, which I appreciate because, you know, that's how lawyers are in real life.
Yes and no. Like his like court case where the like head lawyer was like, you know, you got to learn to play fair, and like the DA was all pissed at him. Like, it didn't seem like he was doing anything that shady. He was just like bringing up the witness's character. And they're like, what are you doing? You can't do that. And he's like, yes, I can. And the last time you said I couldn't, you got like in trouble by appeal. Like, I feel like he was in the right there. And everyone's like, no, he was cheating. I don't think you're using cheating right. He was cheating later in the movie.
I don't think anyone said he was cheating. He was just being an asshole. Yeah. Right. And what his boss tells him is like, basically, you were winning anyway. You don't have to gloat.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
All right. Don't spike the ball. Basically.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Don't spike the ball. I got you.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, winning is fine, but don't be an asshole.
It is kind of.
But then it turns out that guy is an asshole.
Yeah.
That guy who is benevolent for the first half of the movie in his final scene reveals his true colors, as all lawyers are.
Although, like, to be fair, that whole scene where they're like,
I know a lot of lawyers who they're nice people. Some of them, it's fine.
They're nice people. Some of them.
Not this guy.
That whole scene though, like they're like, hey, this kid, he's been playing with this team the whole year, and we're gonna have it changed next year. Can you just keep playing with the team? And he's like, no, that's cheating. And I'm like, I don't know if that fits into the narrative of like he has his friends and his teammates, and like you looked up the district maps.
I was gonna say, I think the implication there is that they knew it was incorrect, but like no one called them on it.
Okay,
because they changed the map the previous year or whatever.
So that scene in particular, I like. Either way, I'm like, this has nothing to. This kid has no part of any of this, and fucking Gordy is just coming over here ruining this kid's day. He's like, all his friends are in this league, and he's like, well, too bad.
Too bad.
His
and
brother,
my team doesn't even want him.
Yeah, my team's gonna be a dick to him.
My team doesn't want him. We don't want him on your team though. I want him playing against his friends.
Or he can't play hockey anymore.
He can't play at all.
I care about this so much, I'm going to lose my job on purpose.
I'm going to lose my job and ruin this little kid's fucking whole year, probably.
Yeah, the stakes are always super high at random times for these actual children.
yeah, how old is this? This kid's like 10. He has no say in what's happening right now.
And
And this
guy's
guy's
going
just,
to look at him like, he could go all the way. Like, I don't know if you know that yet. If he could, he probably wouldn't be playing in this league against these kids. He'd be somewhere else. He'd be in like a hockey academy in Canada or something. Or the United States Developmental Program, which is, he wouldn't be fucking playing here.
yeah, but
And then like the other kid, Fulton, who they bring in, they're like, yeah, he's got some scholarships already. It's like, I think he's 12. I don't know that he does.
Well, that character though, he looked like he was like 17 years old. I was like, I'm glad they let this like adult play with the 10-year-old.
I'm not sure too if it just seemed that way, but were the Hawks like a foot taller than every other team?
Yeah, that's just sports movie stuff. I think
I liked it a lot.
maybe they do it like the youth basketball league in Somerset growing up did it by grade, not by age. And there was one year that there was this kid who had stayed back 3 times. And he was like the best player in the league. Because he was like legitimately like 6'5", and it was like I think like a 8th grade and under league or whatever.
That's amazing. They did say something about, he was like, yeah, he's got scholarships. He's just gonna pass 6th grade first.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's what happened with him.
Scholarships.
That's
to
just how
what?
Minnesota
7th grade?
school works.
Like, what the-
Yeah, maybe it was like a prep school or something. Is that even a thing?
I love you can get scholarships to like private schools. Like
Yeah,
where
maybe
they'll-
that's what they were.
they'll pay.
It really felt like they were talking about like Division I college football, but whatever.
The rules were looser back then.
He's gonna go to Notre Dame next year. It's like he's 11.
I really like too. As soon as they put him on the ice and he starts hitting like the pucks around, I was
1
like,
out of
"This is
5.
what is it? 1 out of 5." Yeah.
1 out of 5.
Every time a puck went in, I was like, the fact that they haven't had it rip the net when it goes in as like their opening scene for this absolutely shocks me. Good restraint on their part, and then
Building up
obviously
to it.
they're building up to it.
Well, instead of ripping the net, he just blows through the glass divider, which I don't even think professional hockey players do.
It happens sometimes on checks. It's just like a random thing. There's no like real rhyme or reason.
I also
when it
like
happens.
how obviously they discover him after he hits the puck and it smashes the car window. He makes him hit another one, but into the other window of the car. Why?
It's not his car. You don't care.
Yeah,
He could
I
have
don't
hit that
know.
anywhere.
It was part of his punishment where he had to be driven around for a few months and still keep his salary while being a lawyer. It was like, oh, the stakes were really high for you, Michael Bombay.
His name's
Bombay.
Gordon.
Yeah, but the actor's Michael J. Fox.
It's going to be really hard to edit all this out. I think I have to keep all of them. Michael J. Bombay.
Yeah, he'll say Emilio Bombay.
Emilio Estevez. Bombestevez.
Now that I know that it was supposed to be like an adult movie about like an NHL
A lot
player,
of it
like
makes sense because there is like
the
drama
name
with
makes
him
more sense
and-
too. Because
yeah.
I'm like, wow, they put a lot of thought into picking this name. I feel like is more thought went into that than the whole plot of the movie because the name is perfect.
Mighty Ducks.
I did have a note.
I don't think anyone ever says Mighty Ducks in this movie because they're just the Ducks.
Oh, I meant Gordon's name. Gordon
Oh, okay. I
Bombay.
was like, I don't know what we're
No,
talking
his-
about.
his
Okay,
name.
that makes
So-
a lot more sense.
Yes, like
Forget
him
what I was
being
saying.
the focus of the movie entirely. You need the name.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
But yes, I did notice that I don't think they ever say Mighty Ducks.
Not till 2.
I had a note in there too, like right at the beginning when the mom was like lecturing him about being on the ice. I was like, oh, okay. He's a guy. He doesn't like kids. He used to be a cold-hearted lawyer. What is this, a Hallmark movie? And then it just continued to play out like exactly like
Honestly,
a
though,
Hallmark movie.
when he was driving on the ice, I was like, why the fuck are you driving a car on the ice? Who cares how much you know about ice?
My whole thought process there was like, whoa, a car on the ice. What the hell is wrong with you? I was like, oh, wait, it's probably like one of those like, it's just cement
That's what I was
underneath.
thinking at first.
And then the mom comes out and she's like, what are you doing on the ice? They could drown. And I was like, oh my God, he's actually just out on a pond.
Yeah, in a
Yeah,
fucking
and
car.
I guess that's like your first day coaching a peewee team. You like find the biggest kid and smash the lunch tray over his head to assert dominance. I guess that's what he's doing.
He
It's
just drove his
power
car
move.
up there.
And I just love that
And they
these
think he's trying to sell them
sell
drugs.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
drug dealers.
And then they
always
think
pull
he's
up in a
gonna shoot
limo.
them.
Then he's like, I'm your hockey coach. And they're like, no fucking way. You better prove it.
Yeah.
Like, why is this exchange like this?
I
Why didn't you
blame
just show up?
Dare.
Hey, kids, I'm your new hockey coach. Certainly someone told you about this. Tell your parents I have substance abuse issues. And because none of them volunteered to coach, now an unstable alcoholic's going to like drive his car around the ice while you're skating on it.
I love that. Did you also notice the driver, like even after he got fired, just stuck with the team for a reason that's never explained?
He was part of it.
He's just like
he doesn't have any lines past the first 20 minutes of the movie, but he's in like most of the scenes.
Like, all the scenes was just like, why are you still here? Who's paying you to be here?
For love of the game.
Every time he was at a practice, I was like, what are you doing here? And like he like interacted with all the kids too. I was like, you know, nowadays you'd need to pass like a background check. Like you can't just come hang out with these kids.
You can't just deputize yourself to be like, I'll go in the locker room. Yes. Like, no, you can't do that, buddy.
No,
you got a weird mustache and you're not anyone's parent.
You're the coach's Uber driver and you want to come in the locker room.
Not to mention, so the coach drives that one kid home and then they have a tickle fight outside the house. And the mom like looks out the window and smiles.
The mom looks out the window, doesn't see the setup, only sees her child under attack.
Like, oh, look at them bonding.
Yeah. I was gonna say nowadays that's called grooming. We don't do that. It's a big issue.
So there was a whole thing about this. I think his name was
mom was
Sandusky.
thirsty. That mom was really thirsty for Emilio.
Yes. Which Emilio's a handsome guy. I get that.
It's too bad about the Parkinson's.
Oh my God.
Anyway. So clearly not a ton of familiarity, but you did mention he's the Breakfast Club guy, so you've seen him at least in something else.
Kind of a dick in that too.
Yep, exactly. He tapes that guy's butt together.
Yes. I forgot why he was there.
Yep, that's why he's there.
Yep.
His origin stories are so like just not that sad. Like, look at my number 2 banner.
When I was 9 years old and this guy who has a fucking picture of Dorian Gray in his goddamn wallet is, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Got second place and it killed my father.
Man, I wish they'd take that banner down. Like, I'm sure that's under your control, buddy.
Second place in the state champions. It makes me sick to look at it. What's wrong with you?
I really like too that he associates it with the death of his father for some reason.
That year was terrible for me.
Yeah.
I lost that
equally
one hockey
important
game.
Things happened.
Also, my dad died. But we're only going to get flashbacks about that one penalty shot.
The two aren't related. Well, I know, but
I just really love the kid where he's like, I only missed it by 1/4 of an inch. And he's like, well, it could have been 1/4 of the inch the other way. It's like,
yeah, it doesn't even hit the iron then. All that to say, I think Emilio Estevez is good in this movie.
He is.
It's kind of the thing that is his signature role. Not even kind of, it is.
I'm sorry.
Him on the poster with all the kids like pressed up against the glass and him going like, get a load of these guys. That poster coming soon to our Instagram.
I was going to say.
Awesome.
That'll be a fun one because it's just a bunch of kids with their faces pressed against the glasses. We'll have a good time with that one.
Just put us creepily in the background.
A couple interesting things. The team that they go to see, the Minnesota North Stars, this is, of course, their last season in Minnesota. This movie comes out in October 1992. 92-93 season is the North Stars' last season. Then they moved to Dallas. Minnesota Wild are there now, but the North Stars moved right after this movie came out. And I think the Hartford Whalers, who's the team they play against in that game that the kids go to, I think by 95, 96, they are also leave Hartford. So just the kiss of death in this movie.
Division 5 hockey team was like just breeding champs, I guess, though, because...
Yeah.
Oh, I mean the Hawks, I'm sorry, because 2 of their players went on to be on the professional team for Minnesota.
Apparently, yeah, I don't know. Weird, because Mike Modano's like, yeah, I remember you from Pee Wee. It's like, no, you don't.
You definitely don't.
You don't remember a guy from when you were 10 who was pretty good.
You were so good, and if you want to try out now as an adult, even though you haven't played, I can get you in. What?
Yeah, but I guess that's how it works. That's the kind of pull Mike Modano had. I believe it. He was really good.
Huh.
So they say Gordon scored 198 goals that season.
Okay.
And I think if you count it, the team makes it all the way to their regional final and plays less than 20 games.
Yeah.
So he was scoring a lot of goals.
I was gonna say there was not a lot of games.
Yeah, because they're 0-9 when Gordon takes over,
Mhm.
and they only play like 6 more games, right?
Yeah, it's only like 15 games to the championship.
Yeah, and then I don't know if there's a whole nother season on like the state championship circuit or something.
Wait.
But they said he scored like almost 200
I see what you're saying.
goals.
I see what you're saying.
I was saying he had
So
to
he's
score
averaging
like
like 15 goals a game.
Hey,
Oh,
if you can't win
man.
big.
He
Yeah.
really
Yeah, no.
was the villain as the kid.
Yes,
Because
the kids say that you were a hawk.
It's probably also a weird thing. It's like because they're mad at him for being a hawk and like not telling them right after it's established that it's entirely geographically
Yes.
based. It's like, oh yeah, no, I grew up in that neighborhood. Sorry.
Yeah, I was
My
thinking the same thing.
bad.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Why are you
10 in
mad
that
about
neighborhood.
this?
just like, I need to be clear with you kids. None of us chose these teams.
The fact that all the good kids are on that team is purely coincidental.
And then like the rom-com style misunderstanding leading to almost
Yes.
breakup thing. It's just like, well, you kids just don't understand sarcasm. I don't know what you want me to tell you. This is on you.
You think
You're
I said
old
you weren't?
enough.
You really thought I meant when I said you weren't worth being alive or whatever?
I asked you if you understood what sarcasm was, and you were immediately sarcastic. How did you not understand that this was a bit of bullshit?
Yeah. I don't know. Some of those kids they don't deserve to live, as Gordon says.
While we're talking about Gordon, he gets this is his penalty for drinking and driving, right? One crime.
Good.
How many-
Well done. Penalty.
How many crimes does he commit with these children? Because it's a lot. Like immediately, probably child endangerment with the car on the ice. The whole mall scene where he just has the whole hockey team just destroying the mall.
Just in the nicest mall in Minnesota. Like, where did they find a mall like that in Minnesota?
Literally the Mall of America.
I was gonna say the Mall of America's in
Shit,
Minnesota.
Is that in Minnesota?
Way to go,
Oh,
Robbie.
man.
Like the mall.
The big mall.
Where'd they
The
find such a
biggest
nice
mall.
mall? Well, they have a nice big mall.
I don't know if that was the Mall of America's though.
I don't know. Either.
But
It was
funny to answer that question.
That's
that
fair.
way.
I didn't realize they put the Mall of America in Minnesota, though. It's a
Nothing else to
bad
do in
place
Minnesota.
for it.
I like the way you phrased it as though someone planned where's the best place to put this mall and not Minnesotans being like, well, I don't want to go outside much. What if we put a bunch of stuff inside?
Okay, all right, that's fair.
But yeah, so a lot of crimes being committed there. Like,
Yep.
I don't know. I
Sure.
feel like he
Has the kid break the window?
he's just like causing mayhem.
It's like, all right,
across
let's
this-
cheat a bunch by like falling down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not necessarily a crime, but it's not ethically great.
No,
It's not ideal. It's not a good look for our boy Gordo.
No.
no.
And then he somehow does learn something, but it's just to be really mean to his boss who paid $15,000 to
Quack,
support
quack,
his team.
quack, 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 quack.
That's and I guess in the boss's defense, he's like, well, this is an important client. I donated $15,000 to your little weird project.
They
The
definitely
Hawks
would not-
are gonna like cheat though, because they do say like they know he's not supposed to be on the team, and he's like, well, we'll just have them change the lines next year to keep him. And I was like, you can just make them change the lines so you have all the good players.
Well, they changed the lines.
They said it was the previous year they had changed the lines.
Oh, okay.
So before Gordon's time.
Gotcha. No, I just was wondering like how often the lines change because it didn't seem like that big of a deal to just change them again.
I assumed it was because they
Right,
were like,
yeah.
oh, we're rich.
Who cares?
We can make them change them again, kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it's the principle of the thing, right?
Yeah.
But it was still such a dick move to be like, I'm going to put up this big sting and get this kid removed from his team that he loves.
Yeah. I
10-year-olds are not
think-
old.
No, no, yeah, it sucks that it all falls on the kid, but it's
Yeah.
definitely like they,
What
they
grade is
knew they were doing
10-year-olds?
wrong.
it was like 5th or 6th, I think.
I think it's 5th grade. 5th grade is at the point where like kids would still cry in school sometimes.
Yeah.
These kids are definitely older than 10, but a lot of them aren't.
I
Yeah.
feel like they just should
Wait,
have.
how old is Danny Tamborelli in this movie? Because he looks like he's 4.
I have no idea.
I feel like they just should have switched it where like the Hawks were trying to take one of their players by change. They were like, see, we found out one of your players was in the wrong district and now we're going to take your best player. And then it would make a little more sense. They could have just like, just kind of like shifted the argument because I don't know. It just didn't.
You're looking for a lot of equity in this kid's movie.
It was a dick move, but Gordy's a dick.
That's fair.
I'm so surprised you guys are coming. I think it's pretty clear that the Hawks knew that they were in the wrong here, and they did it anyway because he was the best player in the league.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But the person who's paying for it is the poor 10-year-old kid. Who probably
Yes, but it's his parents' fault for like letting them cheat with him.
Yes.
Right. The dad probably was like, no, he's not going to play for this crappy hockey team. Let me see if I can get him on this other one.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I'll take your kid. He's fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But still, feel bad for the kid.
Yeah, of course you feel bad for
He's
the
the one
kid.
suffering. He didn't do anything wrong.
He ended up in the hospital.
Yeah, he got fucked up.
That scene is always so funny to me when the other Hawk, who like isn't that into like trying to murder people at the age of 10, is like, "What did you do?" And the other guy's like, "My job."
Yeah. Sweep the leg.
Yeah, at least they're high schoolers. Yeah. These, like I said, some of these kids are older than 10. They're not in high school.
No.
Just like, you are 10. You do not have a job.
Yeah.
The stakes are not that high.
And that
guys.
kid just kind of like slides a little bit and like bumps his head a little bit on that pole. Someone
Banks
else.
is out, man.
Yeah, Banks is done after
Banks
that.
is done. He
In
needs to
an
get taken
earlier-
out on a stretcher with like a ventilator.
Yes. After in a previous scene, someone got hit in the head with a puck so hard their like helmet looked like it was in a car wreck. That kid's fine. This kid bumps his head a little bit. Oh my god.
This is done.
Ugh. Ugh.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too. Great movie.
I gotta talk about Hans.
Yeah, we got to talk about Hans. So he's just pan-Scandinavian, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
so Hans, very mythical. They really every time he comes in, it's made clear that he is very important, but they don't establish anything to make him very important. They just are like, this guy, look at him. He's just weird. He's made to be real important. Very little development, but I'm thinking he's supposed to have more because he's I don't know if you noticed he's second build.
Yeah.
Nah, I see what you did there.
Quack, quack.
Oh my
Quack,
God.
quack,
They
quack.
don't
Was
need
this
to
whole thing just so you could do that?
No, I just noticed immediately that he was second build, and I was like, that's
Yeah.
weird.
They don't need to give him a magical backstory because he just lives in a fucking castle for some reason. This is the world's most successful ski shop. Like I saw they shot the building. I was like, oh my god, are they gonna say that Gordon Bombay lives here because he's a lawyer? And then it was like, no, this is
This is
a
a sporting
skate
goods
shop.
store.
Okay, that makes sense.
Minnesota, what else do they do? A lot of winter sports.
A lot of winter sports.
Just straight up out of a fairy tale. And then like they really proved me wrong by having the hockey team go and spend $7,000 there in one night.
Like immediately. 15, 7, something like that. Yeah. But yeah, Hans, very, very mythical. Like I don't know. It wouldn't have surprised me if in the end he like faded away or something and it turns out he wasn't real or something like that. I've been like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
There was no hockey shop.
Yeah.
Like,
They just stole all that gear.
I wouldn't have been surprised, really.
They gave the kids a bunch of roller skates. They rolled into the hockey shop in the mall and rolled out with a bunch of jerseys.
Jeez.
He was never a lawyer. He was just some drunk on the street. Well, you're a coach now. What are you trying to sell us drugs?
That part makes
just
more
what
sense.
Get out of your shopping cart, man.
This is all just what happens as he's dying and his like the last synapse is firing in his brain. To completely steal it, the Jacob's Ladder scenario bit from How Did This Get Made? Hans not in D2. He is in D3, which I haven't watched in a good long time. I don't know what he does in D3.
Probably dies and gives him inspiration to win at the last game.
Same thing with Charlie's mom. I knew she wasn't in D2, but she is in D3.
She comes back fucking pissed.
Just a bit of a
What did
rough
you
patch.
What did I
The PR
specifically
lady.
tell you? The fact that they add in this like romance in here too, like that was the only part of the movie that I didn't immediately predict. Like from the beginning, I could have like probably written out this plot with 90% accuracy, except like I didn't expect that he was also going to fall in love with this single mom. You know what I mean?
I can't really say I predicted it because like I said, I had seen it as a kid. But as soon as she was like giving him the business about being on the ice, I was like, oh, they're gonna fall in love.
See, I didn't realize until they make it clear that she is a single mom. As soon as they made it clear she's a single mom, I was like, oh, okay. Like,
You're
why
gonna
you
stay
only-
for dinner?
Yes.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Charlie is way too into this dude banging his mom. Like he's
Just a little bit, yeah.
He's really like, yeah, go for it. I'm like, wow, this is a weird wingman situation.
This is what she likes. These are our deepest secrets.
Yeah, he's a little too into it, but I get it. And it's not he seems to like have not even really remembered his dad, kind of the way he phrases, like, I was told that we left him.
Yeah.
So he just like wants some kind of dad figure, I guess, in like an early 90s Disney movie sense. That's as deep as they can really go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true.
Maybe not as deep as they can go, but as deep as they will.
Should.
Yeah.
I don't know. They used to yell a lot, and sometimes he hit her.
Yeah.
Was slow-mo cameras just bad in the 90s? I felt like all the slow-mo was really like choppy. Did you notice that? Because slow-mo is real nice now.
It wasn't actually a slow-mo camera. They had the characters move extra slow.
Because it was like choppy, almost like it was missing frames. I was like, our camera's just not good yet.
I do not know. That's a Ben question.
No, I mean, they could certainly have made it look less soapy, you know, on the like the lens is, you know, a little out of focus or whatever. I think this is just how they wanted it to look, because the slow-mo scenes, it's not like when they're in fast motion that it's like all kind of, you know, gauzy. So I think that's how they wanted it to look.
Okay.
That's what they wanted.
It's what they wanted. They got it.
That's what they got it.
I was also surprised they didn't mention the name of the team for so long, because I assumed they were the Ducks the whole time, or the Mighty Ducks, until we're like halfway through the movie.
5.
Yeah, and halfway through the movie they hadn't like said it. And I was like, wow, I'm really surprised they haven't said their names. And then the next scene was him talking to the head lawyer, Ducksworth, or whatever. And I was like, oh, they aren't called the Ducks yet. I see what's happening here.
I do love that they keep the Ducksworth name for the next 3 movies, even though like
They like it, man. And then in the second one, they're like Team USA, but then they're not doing so well in their game against Iceland or whatever. So they go to the locker rooms and they come back with the Duck uniforms on. But they're not the ones from this movie. They're just like the Anaheim Ducks uniforms from the NHL.
fantastic.
Because, you know,
Who did you steal these
Synergy.
from?
synergy.
I think they're the Ducks again in D3, right?
They're always the Ducks,
Okay.
right? I haven't seen D3 in so long. Apparently Charlie's mom's there. Mad at Emilio Estevez. I know they're in some kind of school or boarding school situation, and I literally don't remember anything else.
Nice.
It's okay. I think it's okay. Charlie does not come back for, so far at least, Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Why not?
A bunch of the other kids do, but not him.
I
Well,
mean,
I know Joshua Jackson still has like a career and stuff
I was
to do.
gonna say a lot of the other ones didn't have much of a career, right?
Yeah. Some of them do. I mean, Marguerite Moreau is in Wet Hot American Summer. She's really good in that. We'll do that in our month where we do summer camp movies.
I mean, the kids have to be like in their mid-20s at this point. So what is the newest
The
D
movie's
movies?
30 years old.
Jesus. So they got to be in their 40s.
Yeah.
Mid-20s.
So that's,
They gotta be at least, it's been at least 8 years since this movie came out.
I don't know. Times are weird.
It's like that time you thought The Departed was a period piece because of their cell phones. Still don't know what you meant.
Whatever. I thought it was like 80s. I have really bad concepts of time.
It's okay.
No, it's very clearly super.
I feel
old.
bad. I hope you don't feel like I'm picking on you. I just think it's very funny.
I know. I just the combination of the phones and the real bad racism and homophobia. I was like, oh, this has to be the 80s.
Yeah,
It was like,
Boston cops famous for their
2005.
tolerance in these
Yeah.
days.
Dude, this movie, like, I could have easily guessed it's 30 years old just because look how old Michael J. Fox is now. So that's how you know.
when I looked up him and I saw that exact picture, I was like, oh, that looks nothing like the person I saw in the movie. But what are they doing in the newest one at like 40 years old?
So I haven't watched the new series, but apparently was somewhat interrupted by COVID, and so there's not really like a big reunion thing, and or there is. Like the original plan was for some of the older generation to kind of drop in throughout the season, but they couldn't do it that way because of COVID. They all had to come in at once. I don't know. It's something like that. So I guess there's just like one episode where a bunch of them, they come back for like some kind of awards night for Minnesota youth hockey or whatever.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I like my plot way better.
Yeah, something like
Checking like 10-year-olds and stuff.
I just want to see them all as washed out adults because this was like the most famous they ever were. So they were like drinking beers and like slamming bucks around.
Yeah.
They're all coaching now, like court order.
that. They're all court-ordered hockey coaches. Terrible records, can't get hired anywhere besides coaching children.
Anyone can do that.
Anyone can do that.
The
One weird thing, the kids in this movie, I mentioned before, Danny Tamborelli is like the really tiny kid, Tommy Duncan, right? Tommy and Tammy. They have combined 2 lines in the movie.
Yep.
But Adventures of Pete and Pete's already on air at this time, so I don't know why he's not a bigger... It's like a really small part for him, considering he's like on his own Nickelodeon show at this point, whatever.
I didn't know he was.
I'm wondering why they don't do more figure skating moves in hockey because that seemed to be really effective.
Everyone's just
She didn't
"What
do
the
anything."
fuck?"
That part was like so ridiculous. She's just spinning.
Show them
Everyone just
something
stops.
they've never shown before.
Whoa.
I've never seen that because that's not a hockey move.
Yep. Doesn't
Not
mean, okay,
a
I'm just gonna
move.
keep going.
We're gonna have to stay away from you because you have a blade of death coming out.
So why I wanted to do this movie is at least twofold, if not trifold. We'll see how many folds we get to. First off, though, I did want to get in a movie that is a lot more of a standard tropey sports movie. So this one, they suck at the beginning. There's some montages. They get better. Then they go to a championship game. At the beginning, it's not going so well, but then they start playing better. But then their star player gets hurt, and they come back and they win in the end because of their grit and stick-to-itiveness. Layered at the same time with the Emilio Estevez stuff where I'm grumpy at the beginning. But then he doesn't have a son, but he basically liars his way through, like, also a lawyer movie. Learns something about his son and bonds with like a kid, but it's like a son figure
Yeah,
and kids, and
they both have daddy issues.
learns to care about something outside of himself, right? So I wanted to do something like really tropey and kind of sticky in that way. So
Works
I'm glad
my
we
whole
did
life.
this.
It was
He
very
actually
much
says
so.
that.
Very. This one was very by the book for a movie like this.
Yes.
Yes.
Very much.
So satisfying when you're like, ooh, I bet they're going to do a montage. And
They hit
do
like they
soft hands.
made sure to go through and hit all those points. They wanted to make sure they had all their ducks in a row before this thing was done.
A long walk, but you got there.
I got there. It was more of a waddle.
Oh,
Slow
man.
waddle.
Our listeners are gonna revolt.
Yeah.
I am glad you mentioned the soft hands thing because all I could think
We might
during that
outnumber
scene
them. It's fine.
when they were doing the soft hands thing with the ice, I was like, wow, you just cracked a bunch of eggs on freezing cold ice. Like, who's gonna clean that up? That's
Yeah.
a nightmare for some poor janitor. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
Did you guys get actual ducks out here?
And it's definitely shared use. They're not like renting out their own entire building. So they get like an hour of ice time, and then whoever's up next is like, God, what the hell?
It's like, I'm glad I got 15 grand so I could spend $200 on
I've
eggs.
got a beginner class out here, and they already have to hold on to the weird cones. Now you're putting literal eggshells all over the place.
Yeah, I just love that. And then they do the next shot and it's just magically gone. I'm like, who cleaned that?
Hans.
Son
The
of a
driver.
bitch.
Yeah, the driver. You might as well make yourself useful.
You're here.
You don't know anything about hockey.
Legally, you can't interact with the children. You haven't passed any background checks or anything.
Yeah, I think he only ever high fives Gordon, right? And he's just like, can't touch the kids. So.
I think all the kids are pushing him around on like a chair or something at one point on the ice, aren't they?
Maybe. I definitely had that thought of like, ooh, you can't do that when what's his name? Michael J. Fox is chasing down Fulton, and he like grabs him. He's like, it's like you can't do that with kids anymore.
No.
That's a cul-de-sac. There's nowhere for that conversation to go, but it's just something I noticed.
Well, then he has his big moment of like, I can't skate, okay? It's like, well, I can teach you to skate.
It's like, oh, that's it. That's not a problem.
That's your whole thing? Like,
Next scene, he's fine.
Can't you also teach your other kids to shoot?
Not like that.
not like that.
Not
Kid's
like
got
that.
a cannon for some reason.
Yeah, like every time he shoots, everyone like jumps out of the way.
So you're hockey players. You're not supposed to do that.
That is one fun thing. So this comes out on the last couple episodes. I've been talking about watching Sam Raimi's movies because Blank Check's doing Sam Raimi series. And so with that in mind, I obviously thought when they're doing the camera on top of the puck as it's going towards the net, it's very Sam Raimi cam. That's a Raimi thing. So it's just other people do it too, but just because that's my frame of reference of what I'm watching recently, it was definitely sparked that for me. The other fold I wanted to tuck into is the cultural impact, whether manufactured or organic, that this movie had. Disney was all in on Mighty Ducks. There was an animated TV show that went with it. Obviously, in 1993 is the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, a team owned by Disney that launched at least with like a cartoon hockey mask in the shape of Donald Duck's face as their logo. Yeah, it's weird that like Disney can own sports teams. It doesn't feel like they should be able to, but whatever.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
A lot of everything.
It just feels like they became the villains in real life.
Yes. So this is such a huge thing. Disney is so all in. They have all this stuff going. And so I feel like this is why, one of the main reasons why I watched this so many times as a kid, just it's on Disney Channel a lot when I'm young and growing up and stuff. And so congrats on you guys for escaping the ubiquity of this, because it just felt like it was everywhere. I even like vaguely remember the cartoon. So
I think hockey was just a really hard sell for kids because like schools didn't pay for equipment. So if you were going to be on a hockey team, your parents had to drop like $600 to get you geared up to go play hockey.
Well,
Yeah,
you could
you gotta
also
wake up
use
at, like,
old
4 a.m.
newspapers instead of pads, they said.
yes. Copies of the National Enquirer taped around your body. Or Goldberg.
No wonder he's afraid of the puck. He's
Yeah.
literally getting leg fractures.
Hockey was having a moment. Late 80s, Gretzky goes to LA. So especially, Disney being a California company, they probably got caught up in that the King's fever.
Was that the original one in California? Not the Florida one?
Disney, yeah, that's where Disney is. Like they're their actual like production studios and stuff.
Gotcha.
Yep.
But yeah, obviously I've heard like plenty about the Mighty Ducks. I didn't know much about actually what happened in this movie, other than like the
Regular
pretty standard
sports plot.
Yeah, the regular.
I do
sports plot.
wonder if it's one of those situations where when people think about Mighty Ducks, they might be thinking more about D2, because I feel like a lot of the references are more D2. Because I was thinking like, oh yeah, ducks fly together. That's not in this movie. That's D2.
Yeah, the Flying V's in this one.
Flying V is in this one, and it's pretty cool. But I feel like they put a finer point on that in D2 also. So I don't know.
I didn't know any of that. So.
Yeah, no, you're fine. It's funny which kids stick around, because it's not all of them, but it is some of them. And the whole conceit of the second one is that Gordon Bombay is putting together the United States team. Mm-hmm. So he has presumably the entire country to pick from. And half of the team is still this team,
Nice.
who was terrible like a year before.
Ducks of a feather.
And a bunch of like other people come in and are like, yeah, these are ringers. These are literally the best hockey players in America. And like, I think they still start Goldberg over the goalie that comes in. It's like, he was afraid of pucks until 10 months ago in this time. But because the other goalie's a girl, they don't play her until the final game. Whatever.
Oh my goodness. They got gumption though. That's what they got.
I guess so. I think Charlie's on the bench for pretty much all of D2, which is the only thing that's realistic, and it is pretty funny.
The world.
Because they just have much better players at that point to pick from. Banks plays, though. I think Banks is a pretty big part of D2.
Well, Banks seems like one of those kids that gets like personal training in the off season by like real hockey coaches, not washed up drunk lawyers.
Yeah. It's weird because it's one of those things like, it's like an Avengers thing where they're still trying to serve like, well, Charlie was one of the main characters, like the main character in the first movie. So we're still trying to make time for him. But like now Kenan Thompson's in the movie and he's a much more famous child actor. And so we got to make time for him. And then there's a kid from Texas with a lasso and a cowboy hat on. And well, we got to get him on the ice too. You know?
Where did you even play?
He lassos the puck.
He lassos that puck. Anyway,
there's nothing in the rule books that says you can't lasso the puck.
What do you mean? Where do you play? He played with what was the professional team in the movie?
Yeah. Then after the North Stars moved to Dallas,
Yeah,
he
I just like glanced
practiced
over
with
that.
them. The end of this movie is some of the most blatant and shameful sequel baiting, I think, even for a kids movie,
Oh yeah.
where he's getting on,
Blatant and shameful.
where Emilio Estevez is getting on the bus to go to the minor league team, and then he like pokes his head back out the door and he goes, "Well, like, we'll see you next time, folks.
No matter what.
I will be coming back for the sequel.
Studio's
Goodbye.
already signed me.
Yeah.
Half of these kids will not. Say goodbye."
Also, your mom's not hot enough.
Yep, we're gonna find a more natural blonde for the sequel.
It was really, and the fact I'm like, wait, you're quitting being a very, very talented lawyer to try out for minor league hockey. And how old are you? You said you're like 40 or something?
He's like, well, the kids are going to be half my age, but that should be fine. It's like, you're going to break a hip.
Yeah.
I looked it
I
up.
think he's in like his 30s, right? Because he's whatever, a 10-year-old, and then it's 19 years later.
Okay.
Okay, I guess so. I just,
Or
they
he's
said
like 10, he's like 10, 12, 13, whatever.
So he said they were
With
going to be half his
flashbacks.
age, so I assumed he's playing 20-year-olds and he's 40.
I think that's just a thing
Like,
you say.
just like
Yeah.
about. But I had to look it up like immediately after the movie ended, and I was like, what is the average salary of a minor league hockey player?
It's not great.
Today it's $52,000. So back then it probably was like what, like 30K maybe.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Well, he doesn't need his car anymore now that his license is suspended.
No, he got it back right before he told his boss to fuck off.
Yeah, I like the framing of it, not so much as he's following his dreams, but that he has no other options in life.
He's like, well,
Every door is closed to me, and every application I fill out, they go, "Ooh, arrests." I don't know.
Drunk driving arrest. You got fired from your last.
You can't even drive to this job. I don't know what you want us to do for you.
Yeah, how are you going to get to a courthouse?
undefeated
like, well,
lawyer. I don't care.
I can either sleep on the freezing cold streets or I can attempt to play minor league hockey.
For the perpetual winter of the Twin Cities.
I applied to some jobs at the mall, but after I ransacked it, none of them will hire
You can't. It's like applying
me.
to
I'm
the cinema
banned from the mall.
Can't get hired in the food court. They remember his face.
Don't let this guy or his minions.
Low on options.
The sporting goods store has like a
I wanted to.
when you buy like roller skates, they're like zip tied, so you have to cut them when you get home.
I considered working for Hans, but it turns out he wasn't real.
All right. Time to tell the story of my profile picture on Discord. Have I told you guys this before?
No, I wondered what it was before.
Cool. It's the Iceman.
Iceman.
1993, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. They put like a butt rock song out at the same time. You should look it up. It's very funny. When they had their first ever season opener, the owners were there, which means Disney executives, and they had really done it out. There's like this huge Broadway themed show on ice to like kick everything off. There's like a light show, and they have one primary mascot who looks like Donald Duck, but with a hockey mask on, basically.
It's terrifying.
And then they have a secondary mascot who was supposed to be more for like, you know, the young men in the audience, not for kids, this guy. Emerging from the back of like a weird modified Zamboni is a man with a ball cap, sunglasses, and like a spacesuit looking weird, like silvery leather jacket, completely painted in chrome, like a war boy from Fury Road. And it's Iceman, and everyone hates it. And then he's up in the crowd for the next period. He's like trying to get the crowd fired up and stuff. And the Ducks are losing badly. It's their first night as a team. They're getting their asses handed to them.
It's canon.
He's supposed to go out again in between the second and third period for the second intermission. The owner of the team says, fuck that guy. I never want to see him again. The guy gets fired on the spot, never to appear again. And that's the story of Iceman.
Amazing. Put him
So,
on
yeah.
ice only to return another day.
And then the Ducks came back and won.
They did not.
No.
And Iceman, that was like, you know, you feel for these people. It's like the people who work as like entertainers in theme parks, right? This guy was, I think he was like a Disneyland, you know, walk around character, or he was one of the guys who does the shows at Disneyland. He probably thought like, I'm fucking Iceman.
Yeah.
I've got it made.
He woke up that morning. He's like, this is it. This is your big shot.
is it. He's-
National TV.
He's probably in makeup for like 3 hours. And
This is going to lead to big things. Big things.
and he lost his job before the end of the first game. Just because the Ducks were playing so bad.
I imagine he's got his own like B-movie backstory where his like wife
Yeah.
is going to leave him if he doesn't get his shit together. And he's like, no, this is going to be it. This is my big break.
And I apologize if that's in any way inaccurate, but think of it this way. You didn't care until I started telling that story, so don't be mad if I got it wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Just
how I
enjoy,
feel about all facts on this podcast.
just enjoy the story, man.
That's I only know about that because of Podcast The Ride. I don't remember if it was a main feed or a Patreon episode, but they did a whole episode about opening night for the Anaheim Ducks, and that was by far the funniest part. So, you know, shout out to yet another podcast that has a listenership that completely dwarfs ours.
For now. We're the Ducks,
For
For
man.
now.
Quack.
Quack, 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 quack.
Anything else?
Quack, 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 quack.
We're good, right?
I think we just
think we
quack
covered
us
it.
out.
I think we just quacked it out. All right. Well, thanks for being on the podcast, guys.
Oh, no problem.
No problem.
Next week, I always sometimes I forget to mention what episode's up next. Sometimes they haven't been planned yet. So on the rare occasion that I remember and that it has been planned, I should say next week's draft day. We mentioned it earlier, but in case you skipped to the end for some weird reason, if you want to watch that before then, last time I watched it, it was just online for free. Not even like you didn't have to
That's a good
subscribe to
sign.
anything. I think I just found it on some free service just through Google. So there you go. That's where it might be streaming.
People won't even pay to see this one.
Kevin Costner, we get to talk about how much he loves adult films.
Loves watching adult films.
The postman himself.
You can find us on Instagram at late to the movies _podcast. For the longest time, I've been saying _pod. It's not that. It is late to the movies _podcast. That's the number 2, not 2 spelled out. No one's corrected me on it.
I was
so
gonna
I guess
say,
you guys have been finding it fine anyway. I think it probably autofills to the correct thing if you only get to pod, whatever.
Yeah, it is podcast.
Yep. You can find us on Gmail, late to the movies podcast at gmail.com. Any other places? You can get us on LinkedIn if you want to make a business connection.
We are not on LinkedIn.
On Friendster, MySpace. We just updated the song on our profile page.
WhatsApp, of course.
WhatsApp.
We have an only.
Yeah, we just started a Vine account.
Yeah, we have an OnlyFans.
We have an OnlyFans. Yeah.
We also do dick rates.
Yeah. This is the best way to end one of the few kids' movies we've covered on this podcast. Absolutely just stellar. You can rate and review us if you still want to on Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, they have a rating feature now, so make use of that if you please. And I don't know what else has ratings. I'm sorry. There's only like 3 reviews on Apple Podcasts, and there's been at least 20 people who have been on the show.
I haven't reviewed yet.
I don't even have Apple Podcasts.
I'm only 30
Just
episodes
download
in.
iTunes for free.
I'm only 30 episodes in. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
don't
want to
know
commit to a rating yet.
It's episode 32. You've been on 31 and 32. Might take a hard turn in one of those.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
does.
He asked for a rating. Just don't be upset when you see it.
No, rate us 5 stars or don't at all. It'll crush our spirit. You have so much power. You're like 25% of the entire rating if you rate us next. So
Oh, don't tell him that.
You
We're
have
going to
so
get
much
review
power.
bombed.
so much power. All right. Thanks for being on the podcast, guys. Quack.
Quack.
Quack.